everybody, and welcome to our first in-studio episode of the More Than Able podcast for 2024.
Woo!
Maddie, can you believe it?
We're
back.
We are back.
We are absolutely back. And we could not be more excited to have our fabulous producer, Jasmine, with us today. She is going to tell us about her job, because I'm sure you're all wondering, who is this Jasmine that we see on the Instagram bio and everything? So, Jasmine, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
I know I speak for all of us here when we say we missed you, but
I missed you guys.
So let's get right to it. So tell us about your position with Learnability LLC.
Okay, so my position, my position at the moment is kind of going through a bit of a metamorphosis. I'm moving more into like a different role, because I've always worked with like film and media, and primarily I work as a DSP, a direct support professional, but I, along with my husband, have been for a while kind of running media projects for the people we serve, supporting people making like creative projects, be that a podcast like this one. But recently I've been moving more into like branding, which has been really fun to learn. Obviously it kind of ties in with what I've been doing already, is producing content. That's my job. It's pretty cool. And you know what? I like it a lot. I don't want to sound like one of those people who it's like, oh, find the thing you love and then make it your job and you'll never work a day in your life. But honestly, it's kind of true, because I love my job and it does not feel like work. Like, I almost feel bad that I get paid to do this, because I think my job's so cool and I have such a good time. You know, like sometimes I have to kind of pinch myself and be like, dang, this is my job. This is so cool.
Okay. So, Jasmine, why did you get into this field?
So, that's a really good question. This answer, I'll try and make it not as long-winded, but it has kind of a few answers. I'll start at the beginning. No, I'll start at the end and we'll go to the beginning. We'll do it backwards. Let's get crazy.
We like crazy.
So as you guys know, Callie, Ada, and Kyle made this company, right? From, obviously every company starts from nothing, but they started this company from nothing. And this is when I was still living in England. And they would talk to me about their plans and where they wanted this to go. And I just had so much admiration for them, and I could see how much passion they had for this. And obviously, like, that's my husband, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law. I want these guys to be happy and I want them to succeed. So it was offering my help of like, what can I do to make this dream of your guys's like a reality? How can I help make it come true? And that was my in, I guess. But like, if you're asking more about like, why do I have a passion for this kind of work, that's also a pretty interesting answer. My mum, shout out Susan if you're listening, love you, mummy. I'm just kidding, I don't call my mum mummy.
Well, you just did, so.
No, I usually call her Susan by name, which I think is quite funny. She doesn't find it. She does find it funny. She was a nurse for like 20 years. And she has a disability herself. She has multiple sclerosis, and it's pretty rough, obviously, as most disabilities are. Everybody found that so shocking that she could have a disability and a job. And I was like, that's lame. Anybody that wants to work can work. And that's why I got into doing this. I also have a disability myself and a job. So, like, it's kind of a perfect fit because I can. Is it empathize or sympathize in this situation?
Could go both ways.
I know, I never remember the difference. But I can have that empathy of, like, I understand what it's like to need support because I do need support when I work, especially now more than ever because, I've just had a baby. It's very stop-start. Yeah, first podcast baby.
New little mascot.
He's pretty cute. So yeah, being able to have that like facet to me in this position is really cool. And I think I draw on my mom's experiences and my own experiences a lot while I'm working.
That's so awesome.
Okay. What are some goals you want to set in the new year?
That's a good question. I'm not a big New Year's resolution gal. I had one when I was like 11 to give up soda, and I did for like 6 years, and then I broke it. Don't tell anyone. But this year, I'm really focusing on spending time outside. I think that's important. There's a challenge where you spend 1,000 hours outside. Not all at once, obviously, but like over the year. That, and there was something else. I had like a silly one. I'd really like to learn how to do the splits. I know that's really random, but I've always been jealous of people that can do the splits. Because like I grew up dancing and I could never do the splits, so I could never be in any of the numbers where you can do the splits. And I was just always like, man, I want to do that. And now I'm a big girl. I can do whatever I want. If I want to learn to do the splits, I'm going to learn to do the splits. What about you guys? New Year's resolutions?
We had talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
So mine is to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I've been dealing with some stuff recently, and I'm going to get it checked out next week. But even this morning, my mom and I, shout out Mama Ann, my mom and I were talking about different ways that I can be healthy with. We're not sure exactly what's going on with me right now, so that's why I'm going to get all these tests done. Anyways, long story short,
stay healthy.
Yeah. And I want to be around for
we want you
a
around,
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want you to be around, girl.
Thanks, ladies.
Yeah.
All right. Maddie, yours is a good one, though. And yours, like, defines more than able.
Oh, I want to learn how to drive.
No way.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I don't drive. I think it's scary. I'm scared to learn to drive.
You know what? I am too. But I support anybody that drives. I mean,
absolutely.
My my boyfriend Parker drives, and he is like one of the safest drivers I think I've ever met in my entire life. And he makes it so easy. Like, we don't even have the radio on or anything when we're in the car together, because he's like
Just focused, dialed
focused.
in.
Yep.
That's great.
So I want you to put on your producer hat.
Okay.
For
Firmly on.
tell us about the recording process. How does this happen for those, or for the people who are listening right now, like, and who are probably wondering, how are they doing this?
Okay, how nerdy do you want me to get? Scale of 1 to 10.
100.
Okay, I'm gonna get so nerdy right now. All right, so on a very basic level, obviously we have microphones and we have a software on a computer that records. We personally use a Mac Studio because it's just the most efficient. It runs, like, if you guys tried to make this podcast on like an old Dell computer, it would take you about 16 weeks to make an episode. It is the speed of your computer, the speed of your internet is so crucial to this whole operation. So we have microphones that are connected to cables that run through what's called a cloud lifter. And I don't think we have any cloud lifters on. So all those audio nerds that are like, no, she doesn't have a cloud lifter on. You're right. I know I don't, because 2 of mine broke. So we decided to take them off all of the microphones, get new ones, because if you have a cloud lifter on one microphone and not on another, you can hear the difference. What it does is it basically just like dampens background noise, because there's like a little hum almost when you're recording in an empty room. You can hear the difference. Like if I was to pad the walls and close the door and pad the window and all that business, you would be able to hear the difference. Anyway, I'm getting really nerdy. And that runs through an audio interface. We have a pretty cool one. It has like all the bells and whistles. Like if you wanted to have, most people use this for radio. So it has like live buttons. So if you wanted to have, not that I think, Margie, you would ever need this, but what most people use it for is like a swears button. So if somebody's going to say a swear word, they will have a bleep button, and you know, if they come up to it and they just go bleep, so it's not even in the recording. Again, I know you ladies would never need. But it would be cool to have like an outro or an intro pre-recorded on one of those buttons. That's something we could do in the future. So it runs from microphone to cloud lifter to computer. That is recorded. We use Logic Pro, again, for those nerds that want to know. Just because it's straightforward. It makes sense. And then obviously it's edited afterwards, and I do that myself. I was co-editor for a while, but the student became the master, and I took over almost entirely from Kyle. I also subtitle, which on this podcast is so easy because you ladies are so well spoken that the AI just like gets it. The only thing is it'll have some like oopsies along the way. Like for example, when I say Margie, the software will be like Margin. Your name is Margin.
Story of my life.
I know. Like, that's not quite right, buddy. Yeah, close, but no cigar. That's kind of the process. Obviously, we set up to record every time. We don't set the microphones up every time because that would be way too much work. But we are wanting to kind of reorganize things in the studio, the stew, just so, because we've been noticing a little bit of discrepancy between microphones and sounds, and it just makes my life easier if everything sounds the same.
So great.
I know it's a lot, isn't it?
No, but I mean, this is partially, if not all of your job.
Yes.
So, aside from your new job,
I do know my stuff when it comes to making a podcast.
yes,
It's pretty cool.
yes.
Okay. What are some of your favorite memories you have made being in the Learnability Network?
So, I mean, just on like a very basic level, favorite memories have been like being like welcomed into people's families. Obviously, you make like pretty big, strong connections with people when you work in a field like this. And like, I've been invited to Christmas parties and birthday parties and different celebrations. I even had some staff and another person in the company throw me a baby shower, which was so incredibly sweet. And like that's just so touching, you know. But favorite memories that come to mind are often when things go wrong, because they always like create really funny stories. Like, as you know, Callie's office is downstairs, and it's a home office for those who are listening that don't know. It's a home office, and it's at the very front of the house, connected to like the hallway to the stairs, and then to the kitchen in the back. And that creates some quite funny moments of, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were on a Zoom call. But it's not always obvious when someone's having an important meeting. So there have been times when Selena has just walked in and like gone and like hugged her mum and being like, good morning, I love you, how'd you sleep? And then Callie has to be like, I'm on a Zoom call.
Oh, that's funny.
That's happened.
Oh boy.
Me and Selena were one time in the kitchen having a conversation about I think button-up shirts. Because I wish button-up shirts looked cool on me, but they don't. I look like I'm at school because I had a uniform. And we were just having like a very avid conversation about how cool we think people that wear button-up shirts are. And we didn't realize that like the whole executive team was in the office having like a very important discussion. And it was just like, oh, hi guys, how's it going?
So, Jasmine, what advice do you have for people with disabilities or unique differences, however you want to phrase it, who want to start a podcast like Maddie and I, or who want to do like a YouTube video channel or anything like that?
Okay, this is going to be weird because my advice probably isn't what you expect. My advice would be to go to YouTube and type in the bar how to start a podcast and find some little nerd on YouTube to tell you how to do it. Because little nerds on YouTube run this podcast. If I don't know how to do something, I'm going on YouTube and I'm finding a guy who has LED lights, you know, those strip lights.
Oh yeah.
In the back. That is where the best info on podcasting is, in my opinion, is from those people. And I would also say reach out to people, find your support, and don't try not to like pigeonhole yourself. you can make something amazing. And also, you don't need like a set, clear plan. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you. As long as you're having fun and expressing yourself creatively, what more is there to a podcast? You know, like it doesn't even have to follow a theme. Who cares if you don't give it a name? Like, just my advice to anybody would be just start. Just give it a go, see where you get to. 'Cause Margie, Maddie, I'm sure when you guys had this idea, when you thought this up, when you started, you didn't think it would be what it is, right? Or did you expect this?
So it's funny you should mention that because I was talking to my mom about this yesterday. I mean, when I first started doing this, it was just me. And I mean, I felt like I was getting some good like feedback and everybody was enjoying it and listening to it. And then when I brought Maddie into it, I've looked at our numbers and our numbers have skyrocketed on social media. And
Oh, that's awesome.
and so Maddie, I owe that to you
Oh.
because if I hadn't asked you to be my co-host, I don't think we would be where we're at right now. I mean, no offense to you, Jasmine, but
None taken.
But I mean, I love doing this with you. And I love that we get to put our voices out there and give other people voices as well.
It is pretty cool, isn't it?
And I mean, we've got so much, so many exciting things coming up, and Emily, who we'll get her on here someday.
We've got a few people like that.
Yeah.
That we just we'll get you eventually.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Yeah, she's been helping us with our merchandising, which we're still working on. We're getting so close though. And so shout out to her.
Woo woo.
And I mean, we've got a really great team and we've got so many great things happening. I could go on and on, but we'd be here forever and
we'd all probably be in tears.
Yeah.
we just love Molly so much. That's how I'll get.
Oh gosh. Well, Maddie, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Okay, let us hear it.
What are some benefits being in the Learnability Network?
One of the things that Learnability is focusing on, and I would say is built on, is the concept of being user-friendly. So being like easy to access, easy to understand. And I think that's one of my favorite things about my job is that my role is always very clear. You know, I always understand because sometimes when you work in human services, when you work with people so closely like this, it's very easy to misunderstand your role. And lots of people do it, you know, like lines get blurred and boundaries can be crossed really easily. But I think Learnability has always done a very good job at, like, I don't want to say keeping me in my lane because that sounds like I've tried to like leave my lane. I don't mean it like that. But like having me understand my place and my job, and just like continuing guidance on how to navigate certain situations has always been there. And I really appreciate that because, you know, I can't neglect the fact that I am quite young, obviously. Um, so it's nice to have somebody with a lot of experience always on hand and always willing to answer questions and always willing to give guidance.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Tune in next time to see what we're talking about. And once again, I'm Margie.
I'm Maddie.
And just remember, everybody, you're more than able. Jazz, thank you.
Thank you for having me.